Welcome back, True Seeker. It is Saturday, March 2nd, 2024. And last night, March 1st, big story, Joe Biden calling for an immediate ceasefire with Israel and Gaza after what happened the day prior, the attack on the food line where reportedly about 1,000 people were impacted and over 100 died, with nearly 800 injured. What I want to show is just how perfect the ritual is of Joe Biden making his most stern remarks yet, calling for this immediate ceasefire, and why he did that on the 147th day of the war. Of course, if you missed my video on the attack on the food line the day prior, we talked about why that came on the 146th day of the war and how important that number is to the history of the IDF responsible for the attack, the Israeli Defense Force, which was established in history on the 146th day of the year. Again, if you've ever heard that phrase, and I'm sure you have, the theater of war, or the phrase the world is a stage, or the phrase political theater, again, what we're presenting every day shows how the stage is managed, how the theater is managed by a script, by a code of numbers and dates, which explains a lot of things once you become aware of it. And again, we're going to talk about why the President of the United States in Washington, D.C., the city known as the Masonic City, where the House of the Temple, the Masonic headquarters in D.C., has etched on the building all his number. And of course, D.C., also the city that until recent years had the statue of the very prominent Mason and also Confederate Albert Pike, who wrote the book Morals and Dogma, where it begins with how Masonry is based in Kabbalah. And in Kabbalah's Book of Formation, it's stated that God created the world with numbers, letters, and words. And again, that practice, the practice of coding numbers into words, is gematria. Again, that's what we educate about here on GematriaEffectNews. How learning this little simple practice of numbers and words and dates, you can see through the rituals that take place day after day after day. And to begin, again, this happened on the 147th day of the war, Friday, March 1st, 2024. The President of the United States, Joe Biden, calls for an immediate ceasefire. Now, we've talked about 147 in the U.S. presidency many times. There are 147 windows on the White House, and not arbitrarily. In Gematria, President of the United States equates to 147, as does the shortened phrase U.S. President. And at the same time, the word Freemason equals 147, and at the same time, so does the word conspiracy. And conspiracies relate to secret society. Well, yeah, they do relate to secret societies, but conspiracy relates to secrecy. You know, two or more people keeping a secret from another group of people. So Freemason 147, conspiracy 147. Just to throw in another word that doesn't exactly fit in here, but at the same time sort of does, outer space equals 147, as does spaceship. And in the history of outer space and astronauts, nearly all of them have been Freemasons. Not to mention it was a president who dreamed up the moon mission. And anyway, that's a whole other story. But the point is 147. It's a number that relates to the presidency. It's a number that relates to the architecture of the White House. It's a number that relates to Freemasonry. And again, the White House is in the Masonic City named after the Freemason George Washington. Okay, so the other big leader here. Biden says this on the 147th day of the war. It just so happened that was 132 days after Benjamin Netanyahu's birthday. And again, 132, also an important number. There's 132 rooms in the White House. In Gematria, United States of America equals 132, as does Catholic Church, as does Roman Catholic, as does England. And again, did we ever really get free from the United Kingdom, us, the United States? Again, England, or the United Kingdom, had control of what is now Israel before it was handed over to Israel. Again, it was under British occupation during the World Wars. But remember, with regards to the United States of America equating to 132 and the connection with the Catholic Church and now how it connects with the Jewish leader of Israel, let's not forget that the Jewish man, Adam Weishaupt, founded the Illuminati May 1st, 1776, 132 days before the United States of America was named. And as we so often talk about, Adam Weishaupt was Jesuit trained, and he learned this little code. You realize it all goes back to the 16th century when the Jesuits implemented the calendar we're on and standardized the English alphabet with the 26 letters and the spellings we all know today. The phrase immediate ceasefire, that is the phrase that Joe Biden used. That phrase, immediate ceasefire, has a gematria value of 111. And that's really interesting because with regards to the Jesuits, these remarks were made on the 111th day of Arturo Sosa's age. He's the Black Pope, or the Superior General, the leader of Israel. And we've been talking about how the war was declared perfectly synced with him. And again, it's not an accident that it was synced with his 75th birthday, while Israel's 75. Again, Catholic Church is 75, like Roman Catholic 75, like New World Order 75, like you can go way back when to the Jesuit-controlled New York Times article from October 6, 1940. A date with 75 numerology where the headline was New World Order pledged to Jews. Again, that was right in the New York Times. But yes, Joe Biden's remarks, immediate ceasefire, have a numerical value of 111, just like the Pope's name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, was 111. And again, makes those remarks at the perfect time. We're in the time of the first Jesuit Pope and also the first Superior General, who's also from Latin America, like the first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis. I was just mentioning the 75. The remarks also came 75 days after Pope Francis's last birthday. 75 days after Pope Francis's last birthday. And if you're new here, Gematria is based on the alphabetic order forwards and backwards. I just said immediate ceasefire equals 111. That phrase also equals 87 when you run it the opposite direction, like the Pope's 87 right now. As we've talked about, Ignatius of Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, his name equals 87 and 75. Again, the Superior General's 75 right now. The first Jesuit Pope's 87. Mind you, the Catholic Church equals 87, whereas without the, just Catholic Church alone equates to 75. Again, we're at a very interesting moment while this war is taking place. And again, it matters that Israel's 75, and once upon a time it was founded on the 14th day of the 5th month, like 145, because there's 145 more chapters in the Catholic Old Testament, which is the Jewish section. And if you go back to when the war was declared, I talked about how important it was that the war began, the war was declared by Israel the day after the October 7th attack. It was declared October 8th, 2023, which was a date with 61 numerology, and it was 283 days after Netanyahu's birthday, which is the 61st prime number, and 61 is a special number. Joe Biden now makes his harshest remarks on March 1st, the 61st day of the leap year, when Washington, D.C. equals 61, and so does church, and so does Christian and Christmas, and so does Jesus and cross. It's a very special number, 61. Again, it comes from sacred geometry. It's the number that represents God. The shape that represents God in sacred geometry is made of 61 overlapping circles. And again, this whole thing of Kabbalah and letters and numbers, it goes back to the belief that this is how God created and controls and influences the world. So imagine learning this knowledge and wanting to play God and having massive influence over the world. You could start to understand why people would use this. And if you research Kabbalah, you'll learn there's a dark side called the Qlippoth, which is about using the knowledge to have power and influence over others. But anyhow, this 61 number very much pertains to God. They start this war in a huge 61 ritual, and now Joe Biden's trying to end it in a big 61 ritual. Good cop, bad cop. By the way, Benjamin Netanyahu equates to 282, and the war did begin 282 days after his birthday. But again, he waited one day to declare war which was 283 days after his birthday. And let's not forget that was the day leaving 84 days left in the year. Superior general equals 84, like the Jesuit order, like the Catholic Church, like the word Jesuit alone, like United States of America, like Masonry, like Zionism. 84, very special number made famous through George Orwell's 1984. But again, like we were talking about, the entire war was perfectly synced with the Pope and the Superior General when it began. Now the President of the United States, the biggest ally of Israel, making the harshest remarks yet about needing to stop what Israel's doing with what looks very much like a genocide in Gaza. And again, I mean, these remarks were deserved from day one with what was going on. I mean, haven't been watching the headlines for the last several months about how there were 20-some hospitals in Gaza at the start of the war, and now only 2 are functional because the other 20-some have been bombed to pieces? I mean, does that not sound like major Geneva Conventions violations? And again, this has been going on for decades. For all of my life, it's been known that Israel is the biggest violator of the Geneva Conventions. And I mean, you look at their neighbor Gaza and what they've done to that land, which when they first moved there, they said they wouldn't harm those people. But I mean, you look at Gaza, it looks like a Hollywood scene for an apocalyptic movie. Half the buildings are rubble. The men are missing. It's a lot of women and young children. It's like, what possibly could have gone wrong in that place? And again, to justify it because of what happened in World War II, I mean, that doesn't make sense. Somebody's severely bullied, so then they're given privilege to severely bully another group that literally had nothing to do with how they were bullied in Europe. I mean, that literally makes no sense. And it's like the point I was making the other day. The story was that you had all these people in a line who were already starving and in a really bad spot waiting to get food. And then the IDF just opens up all kinds of fire on them. Gunfire, artillery fire, tank fire, drone strikes. And again, the excuse of, there was a Hamas person there. Oh, there was a few Hamas people there. It's just, I mean, in what world should that fly? They're blowing up hospitals because they're claiming a Hamas person's in the hospital. A Hamas person's in a tunnel under the hospital. It's like, okay, so that's okay to blow up the hospital? How many innocent people are going to blow up? But this is what they do in war, right? Through war, they justify murder. Murder by the state becomes justifiable, and it gets a new word because words have meaning. In the beginning was the Word. Instead of calling it murder, they call it, a casualty of war, or collateral damage, or, what other terminology that they throw out there occasionally in the news, but typically those are it. So, and I mean, look at that. Just look at that shot right there. I mean, those are the streets of Gaza. Can you imagine if your neighborhood looked like that? And still, no real explanation of how what happened on October 7th happened, on the most ironic of dates, the anniversary of us invading Afghanistan. Based on something that happened in New York and the Pentagon that still doesn't make any sense from a scientific standpoint or a lot of other standpoints. Again, physically impossible what happened in New York City. According to the official story, only 3 steel frame buildings have ever collapsed from fires in history, and they all fell on September 11, 2001 at the World Trade Center site. And again, you can't say it was all because of planes, because the 3rd building fell for no reason. Just happened to be the building that was housing all the federal court documents for the Enron and WorldCom cases against the Bush administration, when those were their 2 biggest backers as they ran for office. When George W. Bush was elected number 43 in the state, Florida, where his brother was the 43rd governor, when his daddy was the 43rd vice president, and the 2 Bushes that were presidents went to Yale and were in Skull and Bones, the powerful secret society modeled after the Templars, the military order of the Catholic Church, where Yale has that gematria 43. So, again, if only more people would embrace this knowledge and share it, a lot more people would see through what's really going on in this world. And by the way, if you don't watch Anomaly, I was in his chat for his live stream yesterday, and he said in 3 months he'll do a podcast with us. And I was like, why do we got to wait 3 months? He said, in 3 months. You got to wait 3 months. We'll do it in 3 months. So that'll be June 1st. So we'll see if Anomaly finally introduces the knowledge of gematria to his audience around the time of June 1st. And you know what? That could be a great day, especially if our prediction lands, because we've been thinking since the day Joe Biden took office, and if you guys weren't here, we were pretty much the only person on the tube explaining why Joe Biden was going to become number 46 in the 2020 election. Wasn't hard to see. Catholic equals 46. It's why JFK got smoked at that age. Joe Biden's the nation's second Catholic president, the first since JFK. We know what happened to his son at age 46. But that election was exactly 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday. And it was the 59th election, and Pope Francis equals 59, like Benedict stepped down on the 59th day of the year. And for Francis to take the throne. And John F. Kennedy's also 59. So we just saw how it was going to be a clear tribute to the Catholic Church with the 46 more books in the Catholic Old Testament. And also just history's past. Everyone thought Joe Biden had no chance, but again, the numbers don't lie. And you know, when Joe Biden took office, we had a TFR episode. I can't remember if it was exactly Inauguration Day. It was I think it was like a day or two maybe later. Got to go back and look at what Inauguration Day was. But our first TFR broadcast, which is always on Wednesday, we talked about how Joe Biden very well may exit the office while Kamala's 59 and he's 81. And we saw how the date June 1st could make a ton of sense. Again, that 6-1 thing. There's a lot to it. Anyway. There's a lot of speculation that Joe Biden's not going to be the nominee for the next election. Imagine he has to leave office. Something happens health-wise. You know, the 60th presidential election is upcoming, right? We just saw what they did on the 60th day of the year. Joe Biden in one 60 town in Texas, Donald Trump in the other. The gematria of those towns equals 60. And, you know, I couldn't help but think of FDR with Trump walking alongside Greg Abbott, who's wheelchair bound. And, you know, FDR didn't get to finish his term. He expired. You know, right as the war was ending, right there with Hitler. Remember Adolf Hitler, 56, dead at age 56, supposedly from suicide, body never found, formal title, the Jesuit Society of Jesus 56, who the Nazis were modeled after. But, yeah, Joe Biden, he might very well not finish his term, which will make it easy for the Democrats to plug somebody else in to run. And like we've been saying, Gavin Newsom or Michelle Obama could both make a ton of sense, especially since Gavin Newsom's 56 right now, Jesuit educated himself at the University of Santa Clara. And we know Michelle, the book she put out the other year, was perfectly synced with the election. So, anyway, just remember that Anomaly said on March 1st that he'll cover gematria in 3 months. And I just thought, why do we need to wait 3 months? But yeah, if you want to check out his podcast yesterday, you can see where he starts interacting with me in the chat. And oh man, it's like he spent so much time trying to downplay the relevance of the work. It's like, if you're gonna spend this much time talking about it in your stream and trying to downplay it, why not just bring me on the stream right now and let's talk about it and see if like there's some kind of misunderstanding here. And again, he's the kind of guy who needs this knowledge in the worst way. He's the guy who still thinks politics is legit. But again, he also made his whole following on a song called I Like Trump, so, which he says he doesn't like anymore. But, yeah, he still doesn't see that the whole game's rigged, so that's what people need to see, and that's why the word needs to get out way more. Also, you guys, I was talking about starting the podcast next week. I might start the podcast as soon as today. I've been, since we last streamed, I've been listening just to a lot of podcasters and their tips. And I was thinking consistency would be a real important thing. They're saying it doesn't really matter, like, if your podcast is always put out at the exact time. That kind of stuff can be helpful. But they said it's really just getting out content, and content people want to listen to. And so, anyway, right now I'm trying to research if there's a platform out there that allows you to put out more than 10 hours of feed content a month. Because I want to sign up for one of these platforms, because there's so many podcasting platforms, but you can pay for these things where if you upload your podcast file, it puts it pretty much on every platform there is. unless they don't want your podcast for some reason. And iTunes, for example, like might be one of the places that ends up censoring me. I guess their Apple with the iTunes is very censorship prone. But yeah, I just noticed a lot of these platforms that you pay for, like they only let you do that up to 10 hours of content a month. And anyhow, you know me, I make a lot more than 10 hours of content a month. But like I said, I'm going to keep doing the YouTube thing. And I'm thinking maybe actually to get people to listen to the podcast as well, maybe make like the podcast exclusive content that's different from my YouTube content, but maybe do like clips from the podcast, maybe like 1-2 minute highlights and put those on the YouTube channel. So it's like you're promoting and just, again, the goal of doing this is to reach a way bigger audience. And I noticed that there's 2 podcasts that exist in the world called Wake the Fuck Up. Ours is Wake the Fuck Up Radio with Zachary K. Hubbard, so it's a little bit different. One's a fitness podcast about getting up and starting your day with exercise, which is great. I don't feel like that's the right name for an exercise podcast, but... And then the other one, I couldn't quite get the gist of what it's about, but I think it is just about talking about what's going on in world events, too. So... Anyhow, I really like... I played the sound clip yesterday of the audio file that the person submitted for the show, and he did shrink it down because I told him it should be closer to 30 seconds. It doesn't sound as good in the clip I uploaded because I was like playing it through my speaker and just like recording. The actual audio file he sent sounds really, really good. And if you put it in headphones, I mean, it sounds like high production audio. So anyhow, I'm gonna be today researching more platforms because I'd like to find one where it just puts it everywhere, but I can have more than 10 hours of content a month. And if not, I might just have to do the best 10 hours of content a month on podcasts. I mean, that just might be where people capped it for whatever reason. And I'm also thinking about getting a new mic. How do you guys feel about my audio? I've been using this same mic since 2016. You know, before I just used the laptop speaker, and then in 2016 I got this mic. And by the way, sometimes when I'm broadcasting, I'm not using this mic. I'm using the mic on my computer because when we're taking calls or if I'm playing a clip from the internet, this mic's not good for picking up, you know, when I'm playing sound. Then that's when I use the mic on the computer. But right now I'm using the mic that's right here, this mic. And this was the one Chris Gio told me to get. That's when I got it for TFR. He said this is his go-to mic. It's not the best mic in the world, but if I do get a new mic, if somebody out there in the world needs a mic, this one still works perfectly, and I might send it to somebody if they need a mic. So, and by the way, once I start a podcast, I'm going to be looking for some good routine contributors because I always think every show is better when you have someone on. Like I always like when Jonathan's on. Jonathan, where are you, man? I think what's going on with Jonathan? Him and I are supposed to be doing a show. He's like, Jonathan, let's do the show. But yeah, I think shows are better when you have somebody else. Like, so I'd like to think in the future this podcast will pick up people and we'll have routine contributors and you know, different minds and different voices, and you know, maybe a day of the week where we have somebody who likes to debate with us or just has a different point of view and just. But yeah, shows are definitely better when there's more voices. So anyway, it'll start with me, and just like everything, it'll build. And I might have out the first episode as soon as today. So, but yeah, it's coming soon. I don't know if I can wait till next Thursday, like I said. You guys said, well, I was watching a guy who said you should always like have your mic a fist level away. You know what I need to do? I probably need to buy one of those things that's like an arm. I don't have the right desk to clamp it on, though. I can't clamp one of those things on my... I've never had the right desk for one of those clamps. That's why I've never had that with the arm. Maybe there's a way around that. Maybe there's like one with a heavy base. But yeah, people are saying your mic should be this close. Does it sound better when I'm this close? I have a pop blocker on this one. Well, I guess actually this is like... A pop blocker's that screen, isn't it? This is a... I forget what they call this one. This one's just right over it. Wind guard or something. It sounds better when I'm this close. Yeah. So okay, I think I'm gonna have to do that. I'm gonna have to get one of those. I actually do have one of those arm things. I just can't clamp it on my desk. Um, you don't want no. You don't need to 3D print me a mount. I'll find. I'll work on that today too. So yeah, I got to get the mic all up in my mouth and yeah. Somebody said that it's so important that you speak from a fist away. So that's this close. Got to get used to that. Put food on the mic. All right. Cool's in the house so the show can start now. You're getting here late, Cool. I'm going to wrap this thing up here pretty soon. I don't want to get a new desk. No, I'm not going to get a new desk. I'll figure out how to get an arm that works with this desk. Anybody in the chat know the solution for an arm that you can't clamp onto your desk? I'm imagining if you had like some kind of heavy plate that you put that on, but then you got to make sure it sits even to figure it out. A Discord server for the community. I can just always hold the mic. Might get boring though. Actually, then it makes it hard to work the keys and monitor. Need like a producer. Yeah, heavy book. Yeah, that could work. Patreon streams are Monday through Friday, except for when we have special weekend events. I am thinking about doing another tier for weekends too, but yeah, the weekend I put out the notes, and if we have a big special event like the Daytona 500, Super Bowl, March Madness, playoffs, then we do weekend streams. But I don't want to stream sports every single day, and if I do, I might create a new tier for people who want weekend streams as well. So. But yeah, it's just, I mean, to be perfectly honest, I wouldn't do sports at all anymore if enough people just supported the work for what I really want to be doing with my time, which is exposing the tyranny in the world and getting that to stop. I mean, sports is part of it, but the reason I do the sports is because that's where the support is. I don't do the sports, there's no support. I do the sports, there's support. So. Yeah, I mean, I know the way I could grow the work. If I set up a $50 tier and just do even way more sports stuff, I can probably get the financials to where it is, but then I'm not covering any of the stuff that I want to cover. So, again, the sports I do out of necessity, not out of passion. Okay, but yeah, I'm going to be doing some more research today. You guys just made it clear that I need to figure out how to get the mic closer to my face, so I got to do that arm thing. And the one thing I've thought that if I did the arm thing is I could make like one of those things that goes on, like how other people have it. Like I can have a GematriaEffectNews little square thing on there. I think that's good for the promotion. So, okay, these are the things I need to work on today. Appreciate that, John. Thanks for getting that clip for us of Billy Carson. We'll have to reach out to Billy Carson though. I noticed he put up another super chat and just kept it up there for a long time. So I was like, why couldn't he have kept John's up there for more than half a second? Hold on, we got a DK Stonewood sighting. You must think it's Wednesday. What's up, DK?
It's not Wednesday?
Yeah, it's not. What's up?
No, I just had a couple recommendations. I don't know. You probably already have thought of this, but like SoundCloud, Spotify, or things like that. But I thought like maybe you should bring back the same style you had for the Sunday show. Remember back the old Sunday show we used to do? It was like on StreamYard, and like people were just like 10 people were in at once, and then when somebody
here about what you're saying. So this is what I've been thinking about, because I think people are saying they want podcasts to be longer than 30 minutes. And I was listening to what people say about consistency. People were saying like the length doesn't really matter. They say 30 minutes to 2 hours is the sweet spot. I just listened to people who have big podcast ratings in their tips. And they said it's about putting out content people want to listen to. and having good guests. They say they don't have to be A-listers, but just interesting people like you, DK. And what I was thinking is maybe once a week have the consistent on-time podcast where it is about participation, and it could be Sunday. I was talking to Sweet Lady about this, how I want to get things a lot bigger this year, because she asked me to do less at night and stuff, but she understands I want to make it bigger, and she's not letting me travel right now. So yeah, I got the blessing to start working again at night. And yeah, I am thinking about bringing back the Sunday show, and now we have the better call board, so it can sound a lot better. And
yeah, I mean, everybody doesn't have to use their video; they could just use their mic, and it takes up less bandwidth too. It's less choppy if you just use the mic.
Right. So yeah, I'm thinking bring back the Sunday show and make that the longer podcast each week, and make that the caller-driven one. And again, do take some calls on the shorter streams, but really make the call-in show that Sunday show.
Also, I think you sound fine regardless. You sound a little bit louder when you get a little bit closer. My advice is just clamp it to your kettlebell when you're doing shows. Just put your kettlebell up there on the desk, on a towel or whatever, so it doesn't scratch the desk if that's the case. And then there's no way it's going to move around 35 pounds, right? You
think one of those clamps will go on the kettlebell? I can try that out.
Yeah, I mean, if it's maybe too round, it'll be like you'll have to get it down by the base, or maybe even put something in between, like along the between the two like round handle parts, so it can clamp down uniformly, like maybe like a towel or a sock or something.
Sure. Yeah, I'm gonna experiment around the house because I do have one of those mic clamps, and you know what? I'm remembering for a while I was using it, but it was kind of flimsy. I was putting it on a book. But it just wasn't super sturdy, so I stopped doing it. Kettlebell, you're right, weighs a ton, so it would work better if it clamps on there. I'll try that out.
Yeah, or clamp it onto something and then put the kettlebell on top of that, so then nothing will move,
Yeah.
Like if you can clamp it to some kind of book or something and then just put the kettlebell on top of the book, it's over. It's not going nowhere.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Because exactly, yeah, the book plus. All right. I'm gonna experiment with that. So.
Or you put like a smaller book underneath and a bigger book on top, so you have like a ledge to bite on with the clamp, and then the kettlebell on top of it all.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay.
Anyway, those are my thoughts.
All right, appreciate it.
Okay.
All right,
bye.
Take care. All right, and here, let me just get the feedback in real time. When I do the podcast, what I'll do is I'll record my audio, and then I'll put this song introduction just at the front of it. It'll sound higher quality. Like, this audio file sounds really good if you were just listening to it on my end, but you're going to hear it coming through my speaker and then back through the mic. And here, I'm going to switch over my other mic, too, real quick. Again, this is the one I go to when I play... This is the one I go to when I have to play something off the screen. So, shout out to the gentleman who made this. And by the way, the gentleman who made this, he sent us a longer version, and then I asked him to shorten it up. I think this is more like the right length. The one thing I need to check, though, is if we can still get in trouble for copyright, because he took the Bone Thugs first of the month, and he edited it into his own thing, right? It's like he took the sample and then he made it his own thing. And this is exactly actually what I said the day before. I said it might be cool if somebody took, Wake Up is the First of the Month, the Bone song, and made it a little bit different. He did exactly that. And it really does sound very good through headphones. So it doesn't sound too bad this way, but it'll sound a lot higher quality just put in as the actual audio file and then me speaking behind it. But where's it at? You guys, again, just imagine it's going to sound like this, but better. He shortened it up. What do you guys think about this intro music? And again, we can use other intro songs. We can use other songs for the podcast, but this was the first submission. I love that he got it in on the first of the month. And yeah, let me know what you guys think in real time. All right, so that's the little intro he put together for us. What part of the reason I also want to put out a podcast quick on this platform that syndicates it everywhere is it'll let you know right away if everyone blocks it because you use something copyright. So it's just like YouTube. If you got copyright, it's going to shut you down. And I don't know if that's going to count as copyright because will the machine pick up that is, you know. For people don't know the Bone Thugs First of the Month song. I used to have a paper route back then, man, and because I was all about the first of the month. That's when we got paid with the paper route. That song came out back when I was the young paper boy, and you know, I wasn't drinking 40s and slanging on the block by Bone Thugs, but I was picking up my paper route money and feeling like a little, rich 12-year-old when that song came out. So, we'll find out. We'll find out if that works. What do you guys think about that? You guys think that works for an intro? Don't go with it yet? We can always switch it up too, I don't want to hear my voice in the intro. I don't want to hear my voice in the intro. I'll tell you that much right now. All right, well, we got to get more submissions. That's the first submission. Okay, and I saw Truth Does Not Exist says it sounds a lot better when I use the other mic, which I already know is true, but this mic that I have, I forget how much it cost back when I got in 2016. I want to say it was like this mic is a Audio Technica AT2005 USB mic. So I don't even know if they still make that anymore, but Chris Geo said that was the one to get back then. I took his advice on it. Yeah, Nathan, I what Nathan said about this, that's the way I kind of feel about it too. I feel like it would be good coming back on the commercial break, but maybe we need something else for the intro. And I know we have some talented musicians in the community, so if any of you guys want to submit something for the intro, again, I think it should be 30, 45 seconds, somewhere in that window. And yeah, maybe that's what we use. That thing that I just played for is just like if we have to take breaks and pauses, we're bringing on a guest. But it does sound good, so I definitely want to use it. It does sound good. Somebody said it put them to sleep, but again, everyone's different. So I think if you had it in your headphones and you heard the actual audio quality, I think you might feel different about it because it coming through the speaker and then being rebroadcast in the way I just did it definitely diminishes the quality probably 50%. Chris Geo is just taking a break from life, and I don't know if he's going to come back. So I'm going to maintain faith that he's going to come back. I mean, he was super motivated to build up a radio network and put out content for, over a decade. He hit the wall, but I got to imagine he's going to come back. So, you want me to play it again? Here, there's a longer version. See, he sent me this longer version first, and then I told him that it probably needs to be a little bit shorter. Here, I'll play it one more time, but then I got to switch the audio back. And again, I'm telling you, it sounds a lot better on my end, especially if you put headphones on, because again, I'm playing it through my speaker and then it's getting picked up by the mic. So it's like listening to a song through somebody's phone almost like. All right, here's the longer version. Here's the longer version. Here's how he originally sent it. This is over a minute long though. It could also be the exit music to the show. It's getting a mixed response. Seems like more people like it than not. Truth does not exist says he hates it. I don't know how many people. It's interesting because I mean that song's like what? It came out when I was 12, so it's almost 30 years old. I don't know if younger people will recognize that that is a sample from the Bone song. I know people my age will recognize it, but all right. Well, again, there is a contest. So if you can make music and you want to submit something else, again, I really think the intro should be 30 to 45 seconds. And I definitely think that has a place somewhere in the show. When we take breaks, we go to a quick break, we put that on, we exit the show. So you don't listen past 1994? Well, that song wasn't too much later. It was 1995. Um, all right. Well, we got mixed reviews on the song. While I try and figure out, while I try and figure out how to get this mic so I can put it closer to my mouth because it needs to be on one of those arms. Um, I'll let you guys work on the song. Oh, you know something else actually that could be helpful is a cool graphic does go a long way with people. People do judge books by the cover, and I'm definitely not skilled in the graphic arts department either. Artistic ability seriously lacking. Here, again, I'll put up the little thing I made if I can figure out where it is. Let's see. Was that it? Let's see. Where did it go? All right, that was the thing I made. For just a little square, like, you're on Spotify or whatever, a square graphic's got to come up for the radio program. That's the one I made. So I'm in the elementary school category for graphic. The one graphic, the pill on there. I mean, I had somebody make that for me. I don't know if that needs to be in the Wake the Fuck Up radio, but most people do know me as GematriaEffectNews. And honestly, I would just call the podcast GematriaEffectNews, but I really feel like the Gematria word just automatically kills you in the algorithm. I feel like big tech just knows to just like how that what's his name, Billy Carson. He saw the word on the screen and just took it down in a half a second. So I'm thinking we need a different name to try and engage with a larger audience. And I don't know if Wake the Fuck Up Radio is it either, but I don't know. It strikes me the right way. So, all right. You guys think the graphics fine? I didn't think it was terrible, but I'm sure somebody with artistic ability could make it a lot better. Uh, and if somebody needs to reach out and send me an email, like if you want access to those pill graphics, because I have a few different pills. I there's just so many things I said that I'm going to do in recent times and I haven't gotten done. The podcast I haven't gotten done. The book I haven't gotten done. I said I wanted to do shorter, like children's style books, and I did meet a graphic artist. That graphic artist is who made that pill, and he made a few other ones that are all just a little bit different. The same like GematriaEffectNews thing that I put in the middle of almost every thumbnail, he also made that. So, but yeah, I think the pill probably does belong in there. If maybe just somehow the font was a little bit more cool or the background was more engaging. I like I can in my mind I can imagine how to make that look better. It's just I don't know how to do it. So, Charles says he wants to be a part of it. Well, Charles, I don't know what you want to do to be a part of it. But yeah, I want people to be a part of the show. So, uh, again, there's going to be daily content. I was listening to people who have big podcasts. They said you can put out more than one show a day. They said that the sweet spot is to put out 30 minutes to 2 hours of content per podcast. And they said some days you can drop 4 podcasts. It's okay to take breaks, come back, do another podcast. So I was thinking just like consistency in the same time every day would be key. But from listening to other people, they're saying that's not really it. It's just having engaging content. I was listening to one guy, he said it's hard to come up with anything new in the world at this day and age. And I mean, the one thing we're doing is it's not new for people who know about my work. I mean, in a way, everything we do is new because we're covering something new each day. But for most people, this knowledge is brand new. They've never heard of it. So anyhow, I think this podcast thing's going to be good once we get it down. We got the right catchy intro. We got the perfect little visual to make people click on it. And then I can get the mic a fist length from my lips so it sounds real good, or as good as this voice can possibly sound. I think once we get all these tricks down, we might be able to engage with a lot more people. But yeah, I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing on YouTube either. It's just got to finally branch out and get in other places where people are looking for information, because not everyone's looking for it on the tube, as we know. Do the show naked. I was thinking about doing an OnlyFans Gematria where I do my presentations naked. Somebody asked if I work out earlier. I have a gym in my house. I could use it more than I do, but yeah, I do work out. Could spend more time in the gym, get ripped, do the OnlyFans Gematria. No, that's not the way I want to do it. So maybe when I was younger. Naked Gematria. Yeah, the Twavistier. I was actually thinking about another podcast, man. Maybe we do more than one podcast. We got Wake the Fuck Up Radio, and we also have the Travesty. The Travesty podcast. So, yeah, people might like the Travesty. See, the problem is when I do that video I did, it was the second one we did like that, using Travis's voice. For people who don't know Travis, that is almost exactly what he sounds like. He's my number one troll. He's been up my ass since 2015, trolling every day. And then we finally got to hear his voice at the end of 2022, and we thought, no wonder he never speaks. I thought it was a joke. I was like, that can't possibly be him. And then he was like, that is me. I was like, oh shit, no wonder. So, Yeah, the travesty might be a real podcast in the future. It's the one for the laughs. For people who appreciate that kind of humor. Some people also really didn't like that video. They're like, "What is wrong with you today?" It's like, okay, these people don't get the joke. They have no idea what this is about. If you guys missed it in that video, if you know what I'm talking about with the Travis video I did the other day, the top pinned comments the first time I did it, it was when it was about Dwayne Wade and his transgender child, and we had Travis weigh in on the situation. So I remember he was flirting big time with Frank the Truth Tank. It doesn't have to be any genre for it doesn't have to be any genre for the intro. It's just got to be good. I mean, I like all music, so it doesn't have to be like some hip hop theme intro. I mean, that's mostly what people listen to today, right? So I know that most of the musicians in the communities are rappers. Um, Personally, I like what the person sent me because I like Bone. Wake Up is the first of the month, so. And you know what else is fair about that? Crazy Bone, who's the best rapper in that group, is he's been doing the conspiracy thing. He has a conspiracy podcast speaking out about Illuminati in the world. So that's why I don't mind giving Bone a shout out in the intro either. I think it's fitting for all kinds of reasons. But yeah, you know, what I think would make it better is if it had the voice of one of the talented people in the community. And there's a lot of talented rappers in this community. And I'm sure there's other musicians as well. It's just most of the people who send me music or have done a song in tribute to the work, they've been rappers. Again, it is the music of the times. So. Charles III appreciated it. Yeah. Yeah, not everyone did. Some people absolutely hated it. I think my subs went down even more on Patreon that day. In fact, my subs did go down that day. Subs went down on YouTube and on Patreon. So I think some people really didn't like it, but that's the way it is, right? I mean, you can't please everybody. All right, guys, I'm gonna get on the grind because I do want to get this podcast rolling, and you guys, I'm glad that we were experimenting with the mic because you guys, here, let's do again a test right now. So right now, my voice probably sounds the way it optimally can on this microphone. Is good. There's better microphones, but this one's not bad. Again, like I said, I've been using it since 2016. So I'm about a fist length away from the mic, which is where you're supposed to be, which is not normally where I am because I have to like hunch over into my desk because I don't have an arm to do it. Normally when I'm using this, I'm like sitting back like this in my chair, so I'm comfortable. But I could sit like this if I had it on an arm. So can you guys tell the difference in the sound from 15 seconds ago? Because now I'm like a foot from the mic, probably, or probably a little. I'm probably like a foot and a half from the mic. I'll show you guys where to get the podcast. It's going to be everywhere once I do. It's going to be like on every podcast platform. You guys don't hear the difference from okay, here. Okay, now I'm where I'm supposed to be. I'm a fist away from the mic. Now I'm a foot and a half away from the mic. Yeah, I'm sure it does sound better closer. So that's what I need to do. I need to get it on the arm and I need to get the mic next to my mouth. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna get the arm. I'm gonna start doing it right because it's so important for podcasts because the audio's got to be the audio's got to sound better. So. All right. I'm gonna work on these things, and this is gonna be the year that we grow by leaps and bounds. So, again, thank you to everyone who hits the like and the share. Oh, you guys gave super chats in the stream. Nathan, what are you doing, Nathan? I just noticed you gave a super chat. Thank you, Nathan. You didn't have to do that. Appreciate that, friend. Nathan's been helping us get out the word, but we're not going to promote it, right? So But thank you, Nathan, for also doing that. Nathan's been running a secret project to see if we can get more listeners in other corners of the world without telling anyone. And so far, it's been mildly successful. Thank you again, Rick James, for gifting another membership. And shout out to Oscar Garcia once again as well. I appreciate that. Please check out Billy Carson. Like, I was just wondering, like, is that a troll comment? Did you not just see the short video we uploaded of what Billy Carson did with the super chat about Gematria, how fast he took it off the screen? I will try to reach out to Billy Carson. Maybe it's some kind of misunderstanding. Maybe he just didn't want to have it up at that moment because it was too big and too important to distract from the speaker. They were talking about Atlantis. So, shout out to John Mendoza who put up that super chat on Billy Carson's channel that got taken down in like literally a fraction of a second. It's like, God, he reads fast, that Billy Carson. You got to give him credit. Guy's a speed reader. I mean, most people could not read through that sentence as fast as he took it down. Michelle, I could see beating Trump. Maybe even Gavin Newsom, because, I mean, not that people would rather have Gavin Newsom than Trump. We know the whole thing's rigged. I'm just thinking of people they could put in there who would, be perfectly symbolic for what's going on at this day and age. So I do expect Trump to come back, though, and be the second Grover Cleveland. I mean, all of the cards are there, so. All right, guys. Possibly might have a podcast out later today. So it's coming soon. And if we do the introduction podcast, some of you guys might just have to plug your ears for the first 30-some seconds if you don't like the temporary intro. But I want to get the feedback just on that. So, again, if you want to submit a song, GematriaEffectNews@gmail.com. Keep in mind I'm on a Mac, so if you record your audio file in some PC exclusive sound format, I'm not going to be able to open that up. I don't have a PC at my house. If I get another computer, though, it might very well be a PC because I'm pretty fed up with Apple. And Apple's products aren't as quality as they used to be. So... He promotes reading fast. I believe it, man. Some people are speed readers. I dated a woman years ago who was a speed reader, and I just couldn't comprehend it. I mean, she could just read through a 300-page book in a day, and I was like, I don't get it. Are you really absorbing the book? So I'm definitely not a speed reader. I'm the kind of guy that has to read the page over again because my mind wanders off, and then I just read the whole page but was thinking about something else. So that's why I can't meditate either. I probably have ADHD, but I don't want to treat it. It's been working out for me, so. What do I think about Trump running for president? Are these real questions on my channel? I mean, what? Have I not been exposing what a puppet Trump is? Have I not been talking about for the last, 3 years I was going to come back and be the next Grover Cleveland? Welcome to the channel. All right, yeah. Got to get back to work, you guys. The podcast has to start sooner than later. And by the way, I was listening to one of those guys who has a big podcast. He's like, don't ever put off your podcast for 3 days from now or a week from now. He said, do it now. Get the content out now. And I thought, yeah, that's exactly how I am with YouTube. It's got to be the same way with podcasting. So I just got to make sure the audio's right. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. I might very well be back before long. And I'll see you then. Till next time.